This is the prayer revolution for the modern yogi, how to bring the mood of prayer into our everyday lives. And so we start off this morning with a prayer from our good friend, Vira Doyal, who's tuned in from Manhattan. I'm right here in Brooklyn. We're in the same city, but we have not seen each other in like 3 weeks now. I have no idea. Time has lost itself.
So sad. Such a sad story, Doyle.
So Vera's going to lead us in a prayer to help us keep connected, and then we're going to have a conversation about what comes up and take it from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. Grateful to be with you guys today, DG. Super grateful to be with you. Love being part of your morning greeting. It's like a parade, a hospitality, a welcoming committee.
Totally.
And imagine every morning if we woke up in the world and it was like, welcome. You know, it was like this. We were welcomed by the world. You know, welcome to the world. Welcome home.
I just get so excited seeing all the people. Pat Dunphy, Stephanie from Texas, Zoe, Naushin, steady always. It's beautiful.
Jai Shri Radhe. So today is a super special day, and so we're going to say a special prayer to Lord Ram. And for those of us that are not familiar with Lord Ram, he is an avatar in the Vedas, an avatar of the divine, who was the example of the perfect being. And I like to think of Lord Ram as this, as the king, and as a king of who I get to be a messenger of in my life. And we all get to be a messenger of in our lives. We get to be the hands, the feet, the heart of the king, the extension of this benevolent, loving, protective, pure-hearted Lord, divine Lord. And so I love Lord Ram. We just did a kirtan downstairs right now. We were dancing around like a bunch of monkeys and having a beautiful meditation on the divine names of the Lord. And so those of us that are not familiar with prayer, we're going to just take a moment to pause wherever you guys are at right now, whatever you're doing right now, to pause and to take a deep breath. Connect to the rhythm of your breath and connect to receiving. You're not doing anything right now. You don't have to do anything. Just soften your mind, soften your body, and prepare to receive. Receive the power of prayer. Any moment in our life, we have an opportunity to call out to a higher power. Any moment of our life, that's fully available for us. The divine is accessible to us in our darkest times, is accessible to us when we're riding that wave, experiencing the highs of the highs. Always available is that connection. And so we pray to Lord Ram. We pray to our beloved Lord, who is our protector, who is always available to us. Whenever we need connection, whenever we're looking for grace, whenever we're looking for compassion, we're looking for love, we're looking for hope, whatever it is that we're looking for, whatever that quality is, that's available to us when we call out the name Ram. We call out to the divine, asking for that shelter, asking for that grace to flow into our lives. And so right now, no matter what state of consciousness we're in, we're taking this pause in our life to reconnect, to remember that there is a beloved friend right by our side, a benevolent king that has all of the resources, that has anything that we would ever need to be connected in our consciousness to our higher power. But that's always available to us when we reach out, asking to be instruments. And sometimes it feels difficult. Sometimes it's the most challenging thing to do in our life, to reach out, to submit ourselves to a higher power. It's so challenging to open ourselves up to grace, to open ourselves up to that there's purpose behind everything that's happening. And so we're just pausing right now in our life. We're taking that pause collectively right now as a sangha, as a group, to assist each other in submitting to that higher power, making ourselves available for that divine connection. Give us the courage and give us the strength, my Lord, today, that wherever we are at in our life, that we can pause and that we know that you're walking with us And that whatever it is that we may need in our life to feel connected, whatever it is right now to feel connected to you, you can make that available for us. You can help us have that catalyst, help us have that transformation so that we feel that closeness to you. We feel meaning and we feel deep purpose in our life. And we feel that we can be instruments of change. We can be instruments of service, that we can make a difference in our lives and the lives of others. Please give us the strength, give us the courage to lean into you. And please give us that consciousness today so that we may serve you with all of our hearts. We may be instruments of grace and compassion in the lives of all those you bring into our life, all those you bring before us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So beautiful, Vera. Thank you so much. Thank you for being that comforting voice for us every morning. Thank you for kind of bringing us back into alignment with the body, mind, and heart. It's kind of what we need at any moment, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I love the mood that you know, that connection is available to us every single moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
We're never really lost, you know.
Yeah.
We're never really lost. We just forgotten where we are. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm just seeing gratefully appreciating the prayer. Satya Hinduja also. Satya, we love you. Satya and I are actually going to be putting together a guided meditation. That she's an amazing sound healer, using sacred sound vibration to help people to reconnect to their true nature, their highest power. And so we're going to be weaving prayer and sound. And just somehow or other through our connection, we're like, let's do something. Let's serve together. So Satya, it's so great to see you online. And my consciousness today is really in my meditation today. And last night I was reading a book, which I highly recommend anybody who's interested in japa meditation. It's called The Living Name by Satchidananda Swami. Anyone who's interested in connecting deeply with the power, the practice of recitation of divine name, holy name. That last night I was reading just a few pages of it, and he's talking about how we can really kind of like make our relationship with our higher power it becomes an it, right? Like, oh, I got to do it. I got to do this and that. And it becomes like this it loses its life, that relationship and that connection. And how, and so he's talking a little bit about that last night. So I brought that in my meditation today. It's like, yeah, like I'm not sitting down to do it. I'm not sitting down to do my meditation. Like I'm sitting down to connect with a person. I'm sitting down to connect with somebody who is with me and who cares about me, who knows me better than I know myself. Like, and I'm here to like open my heart to that person and to feel that grace and to feel that shelter from revealing my mind and heart to, my dearmost friend and confidence. And so I felt today in my meditation that I was really able to lean into that like the name was like swirling in my mind, and that everything that I'm looking for in my life, I think that it's in the world. I so think that my happiness is in the world. I so think that my happiness is in the material world. I'm totally guilty of that. There's no question about that. And by controlling matter and getting what I need, getting what I want, when I want it, how I want it, that's going to bring me fulfillment. That's going to bring me lasting happiness and lasting connection. And just reading in Bhagavatam this morning, where it's just like, that's like, we've never seen a person that has had everything material, but made, that didn't have a spiritual connection, fulfilled, endlessly happy, like perpetually blissful and happy. We've never seen an example of that, and the contrary, we've seen so many examples of people having everything material and still suffering, and we've also seen examples of people having everything material and having an amazing connection with the divine. And so it's just like, it's not about the material. It's not about the external. it's about that relationship. It's about my perception. It's about that inner landscape and how I'm experiencing, you know, life every moment. And am I experiencing it with a connection to a higher power? Am I experiencing with a connection to myself spiritually that is, that's not bound by external conditions and external circumstances, but that is naturally fulfilled, naturally happy, naturally blissful, naturally compassionate, naturally seeing the opportunity in every experience of my life? Am I experiencing that? Am I moving toward that, or not? And so that's a little bit of what I'm thinking about today and this morning, and just feeling like it's like I can go through a couple days in a few days where it's like, man, I'm not feeling connected in my meditation. I'm not feeling that connection. I'm not feeling that closeness to the divine. And that it's like, okay, like, man, like, am I going to go deeper? You know, am I going to go deeper in this moment? Am I going to take this as an opportunity to say, man, I'm not feeling connected to you, but I want to feel that connection. Please help me to feel that connection. My heart is yours. Or am I departing and I'm starting to find it and I'm going to distract myself and I'm going to watch a movie now and like try to find happiness somewhere else, you know, like, so today, you know, it was one of those beautiful reminders, and I've had it, you know, probably, 10,000 times in my life, you know, the feeling of being disconnected and then the feeling of feeling reconnected. And that when I feel reconnected, that is all I'm looking for in my life. That's all I'm looking for in my life. And I'm so grateful for Sachinandan Swami. I'm so grateful for the devotees, our monks and the crew, the 13 strong in the Bhakti Center building that are daily reminders. So grateful for Doyal. So grateful for all you guys tuning in. Everybody is a daily reminder, helping me come closer to that connection. So that's a little bit off the cusp.
You got me feeling grateful. You got your tea there. I haven't brought my tea yet to the show. As you were speaking, I was reminding it. Yeah. The famous words, Samuel Jackson. I was as you were thinking, I was thinking about how that, you know, we live in such a world that happiness has become like an instant gratification scenario, where I'm expected for some. It's almost like, you know what I mean? Like, I have a headache, I want to take an Advil, make that headache go away. I'm hungry, let me go immediately find food, and like I can buy it at the store or just run through the drive-through. It's like whatever I'm feeling, there's this sense of like an immediate button or something that I push or buy or get that takes care of the feeling that I have or will give me what I want. I'm looking for excitement. So like, you know, it's almost like it's like honestly like watching movies has become even hard. Because if something doesn't grab my attention in the first 5 minutes, I'm changing. Next. You know what I mean? It's just like, I have such a high standard for experience in the world, because so many things are available, for whether it's food, whether it's movies, entertainment, music, even, you know what I mean? We used to just be, you turn on the radio and just get into whatever you're listening to. Now I have every song at my fingertips on Spotify. So I'm not going to waste my time on a less than perfect song. It's just like, I'm going to like, oh, doesn't catch my, moving on to the next one. You know, we live in this instant gratification of like ultra high expectations of what something brings to me. And we sort of lost the sense of cultivation, of cultivating something almost like a harvest. You know what I mean? Like a gardener, like planting the seeds, tilling the field to harvest something that is of much, you know, it's like trading in fast food for like a 5-course meal. And that 5-course meal doesn't come like I love, you know, there is this, you know, we live in, especially in New York City, like Seamless is like ads all over the place. And it's kind of like almost sad the way they do their marketing. Like, I don't know if anybody works for Seamless out there. We love you, but it's kind of like, you know, it's they're encouraging people, don't cook, like don't go in your kitchen, just order out all the time. Like, cooking is of the past, cooking's lame, you know, don't cook. And then there's certain, you know, certain restaurants that counter that by saying, you know, some food just wasn't designed to be bicycled across town in a backpack. You know what I mean? There's certain experiences of that aren't just meant to be fast food. You know, if you want something rich, something deep, And I think that spirituality, connection with God, we're talking about prayer. It's not just like, okay, I'm feeling lonely, let me feel connection. I'm feeling bored, let me find excitement. I'm feeling depression, let me find, joy. It's let me make that deposit into a bank account. Let me till that field. I'm actually just we talked a little bit about yesterday about being receiving. And Laura, our good friend who's tuning in on Zoom, she quoted this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the biography of Sri Chaitanya, where it said that there's no need to sow seeds in barren land. And so I was looking up, there's this beautiful section in the same book about the idea of devotion being like a seed that gets planted in the heart. And Sri Chaitanya is speaking to his student Rupa Goswami, and he says, according to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the universe. So it's kind of like what you were saying in terms of, we might have material enjoyment, but it doesn't bring some like lasting fulfillment. It's kind of like we're just wandering around the universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down to the lower planetary systems. So some are up, some are high. It's like a Ferris wheel. We're all just going around this Ferris wheel. And out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who's very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with the bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. So we're wandering through, and if we're really lucky, we bump into somebody that says, hey, I got a secret. I got to tell you something. I got something I want to tell you. You're not a material body. You're a spirit soul, and your nature is Satchit Ananda. You're meant to serve, and you're meant to find bliss in that service. Because by the mercy of both Krishna and spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. And when a person receives the seed of devotional service, they should take care of it by becoming a gardener and sowing the seed in the heart. And if a person waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravan and Kirtan, hearing and chanting, so hearing sacred sound vibration, hearing mantra, hearing sacred literature, hearing sacred discussion, and chanting sacred sound vibration, chanting mantra, chanting divine discussion with other people, the seed will begin to sprout. And then he goes into this whole beautiful analogy about, okay, we've been given this precious gift of this seed of devotion. How can I till? It basically, like, my life becomes a process of tilling the soil of my heart to that become fertile ground, so that seed can go deep and take root and start to blossom into beautiful fruits of love. And so I think that, as you're talking about that, that mood of not just some instant gratification of enjoyment, but I'm actually busy. What are you doing? I'm harvesting. I'm tilling the soil of my heart so that I can harvest the fruits of love of God. Oh, you know what I mean? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's I'm appreciating it so much, DG, because we can see, like, the mode of passion, right? We can see like this psychology of like doing equaling our fulfillment in life, and like the faster I can do something, the quicker I can do something to get something, then I can be fulfilled. And it's like this crazy sort of race course. It's this rush of energy, and somehow or other, it's like, what I'm seeing is like this space and time, like a more natural way of living is, that we till the soil, then we sprout the whatever, the food, the flower, we sprout it, then we plant it, then we water it, and we nourish it, and we're conscious of weeds. And so we pull the weeds out right when they're little weeds. And like, there's this very attentive, very like methodical, gradual development of fruits and flowers. It's this beautiful, like it's a different pace of life, and for me, it's like in a day, if I'm not experiencing that, then the frustration comes, the disappointment comes, God's not here. Where's God? Like, come on, man, where are you at? Like, why isn't the mango blossoming, and why don't I have ripe mangoes today? And it's like, buddy, like, it's all good. It's like, it's all good. Like, we're just the flowers have just come. Like, you're doing great. Stick with it.
I'm just thinking, it's like, yeah, imagine like a little kid, you're playing outside, they put a little apple seed in the ground and they come back the next day and they look at it. Where's the apples? It's like, oh, it's a process. It's a
Yeah,
process.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And that it's like, and what you're pointing out, what I'm appreciating so much is this difference of like pace and this difference of energy, right? It's like in this passionate doing energy, like now, like it's too late. Like the delivery took 10 minutes. It's taking too long, you know? The computer is loading. It took 10 seconds. It's too slow, you know? Like
Yes.
I want that connection now. I want the coronavirus done now. Then I'll be happy, you know? It's like the trap of that pace of time, the trap, like it's the carrot that we keep chasing. Like it has to be faster, it has to be quicker. Like it doesn't really facilitate for us to be a gardener. It doesn't help us and facilitate for us to be a gardener in the pace of life that spiritual life is asking for us to be in. Like this pace of consciousness, this gradual, it's slower, it's more gentle, it's a brick by brick development. It's this beautiful dream and castle that we're building slowly, not fast, you know. And so for me, I'm appreciating you pointing that out, because that's just a real helpful reminder of like, and even yesterday somehow or other, like I was gardening and like I've been having this feeling, like I was on the rooftop and I was like, I'm clearing out these beds, you know, like usually we have a young man that helps clear out the beds, and then a few
the garden beds.
The garden beds and the rooftop of the Bhakti Center.
We don't have a bunch of mattresses on the rooftop.
Yeah, the garden beds, yeah. And I was like, you know what, man, like I don't know when he's gonna be back, and I love gardening, and so I just started clearing the beds out, and like how fulfilling that is, you know. And so okay, like yeah, let's. And then what happened? Vasudev, one of our community members, said, hey, you know, can someone start sprouting? You know, it's like immediately, right? That sprouting process happened. And then Heather, like she's ready to bring flowers down from upstate. So it's like this beautiful, gradual process. Yes. So I love it. I'm appreciating it. The passion of New York City doesn't necessarily provide that state of consciousness that it really takes to be in this gradual development of our devotion and our love and faith and toward our higher power. But getting our hands in the soil, you know, getting into that little bit more of a natural rhythm really can be so helpful for that. It's helpful for me for sure.
Totally. Our good friend Amir is saying these sessions are our fertilizer. So it's like, so what am I doing to fertilize my creeper, my soil? And Yoga Like Mike is saying that Raghunath said the other day that you can't cramps for a garden. I'm not sure what cramps mean, but there's no quick way to cram for a garden. There's no quick way to grow plants. There's no quick way to grow plants. Imagine if you started to see a little sprout come up. You're like, oh, I'm going to help it. So I'm going to pull it up. You just rip it out of the ground, you know? And a few comments ago, our good friend Damodar out there in Tucson was saying that it's every landscape is different. And so every plot of land in our heart needs tilling. And so it's a complete job, and every landscape for each person might be different. And so it's not just I have to become gardener. I don't have to become gardener of some like generic field. I have to become gardener of my heart. So am I aware enough, and am I in tune enough, and do I calm down and quiet myself enough to check the climate, the situation of my own heart? You know, like you go and buy certain plants, and some plants you need lots of water. Some plants just need, if you can't water too much. Some soil is really dry. It needs to be moisturized and like turned. And some soil is already really fertile and needs to just like settle. Like it's like, what is the specific condition of the soil of my heart? Because the way somebody else may be gardening their plant may be different than the way that I garden mine. And so I can't be looking left and looking right and comparing and like, oh my God, they're already sprouting over there, and I got still soil in here. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, it's like, no, sometimes things just take a different pace, and to be patient with ourselves. And like you said, there's no quick way to grow a plant. It's kind of like, and so I think that and sometimes there's a quick sprout of growth. Like it looks like, okay, I'm doing a lot today. I'm chanting and I'm reading and I'm studying and I woke up and I'm doing this and that. And sometimes it's just patience. It's just patience. It's also almost like making a loaf of bread. You know what I mean? I've taught a lot of cooking classes, and I would always teach, and sometimes when I teach people make bread, I said, do you know what the most important ingredient in making bread is?
Letting it rise.
It's time. Time is the most important ingredient. You know what I mean? Like a loaf of bread may take 2 hours to make, but you're actually only doing like 15 to 20 minutes of actual work. You make the dough and then you turn it over and cover it. And then you let it sit for an hour if you have the time. And then you make it into a loaf and you put it into rolls and you put it in the oven without turning the oven on. And then you let it rise again for another hour. It's like 2 hours of 2 hours of you just letting it incubate. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we like take spiritual, we got to give ourselves that time to just let it sit, and it's totally fine. And that's what we talked about yesterday of like, who's defining productivity in the world? You know what I mean? I may be laying down in bed thinking I'm just wasting my life away, but actually like, no, I'm sitting here and I'm like wrestling with my feelings of loneliness, and I'm choosing to bring that to God. And in that wrestling of that feeling, I'm actually like tilling the soil of my heart. You know what I mean? And so it's like, but that may not be able to show anything for that. That may not make a great Instagram video, or that may not make a great podcast, or that may not make a great, hangout time with friends, but there's work taking place in my heart. That work is taking place in the heart, and that work will bear fruits. There is a harvest to that comes, and every now and then we do see little sprouts. You see little sprouts of that, but it's being patient for us. But just like recognizing the work that we're doing, recognizing the work that we're doing.
It's beautiful,
right?
DG. Yeah, totally, Bubba. Yeah, it's so what I love when you and I are having conversations about the vulnerability of the process of spiritual life. It's like that we're in this process of trying to grow mango trees and rose bushes and jasmine, and we're in this process. We're trying to connect to the beauty of our own heart and soul, and to share that with the world. And I was thinking about when we're in Govardhan Eco Village in Maharashtra, India, Doyal and I and a whole group. We had an amazing group of friends. I think Zoe, she's online with us too, and Deanna's been there so many times. And we went to a farmer's land. And part of what we do every time we're in the Eco Village is that we get together as a group. We're all coming. Joseph just joined on. He was with us as well. We all get in these little cute little vans, and we go bumping down the road to a local farmer. And because the Eco Village, a project of Radhanath Swami in India, Eco Village is supporting all these local farmers. And what do? They have their immediate crops, right? They have their jasmine that are growing, right? And the jasmine come after just a few months. Jasmine start flowering and blossoming. The roses, they're similar to that. The mango tree, it takes 5 years for them to harvest even one mango. And so it's through our life, it's I'm appreciating you, DG, where it's like, yeah, this real patience with the process, and also like knowing that, hey, we're going to get these waves and the amazing fragrance of spiritual life when we're really tending to the garden and we're really watering, and that's something that maybe we could start to take the analogy and bring it into the practical elements of spiritual life, which is, yeah, we're tilling the soil, right? We're looking at our own heart. We're looking at our limiting beliefs. We're looking at the anarthas. We're looking at the things that are not serving us in our life. We're starting to pull out those weeds. We're starting to replace those limiting beliefs with positive assumptions, with positive beliefs, with truth that's connected to the nature of our soul and our higher consciousness. And we're watering, right? We're tilling and we're pulling the weeds and we're watering. What are we watering with? With spiritual energy. And what's that spiritual energy? We're talking about our meditation practice. We're talking about our prayer, kirtan, calling out the divine names, having these discussions that we're having, and reading from the literatures and the scriptures of the world, we're starting to actually churn and water the roots of that garden.
Yeah, totally.
And go ahead, DG, come on.
No,
you got something that's coming.
I'm just excited. No, you keep going. I'm just excited.
Yeah, and so I'm just imagining this beautiful analogy, and like, wow, like that mood of a farmer. We see those farmers, man, they're so simple, they're so humble-hearted. I remember one of our India programs was like trying to give a donation to the farmer. And the farmer was so grateful that we came out. We were digging ditches and pulling weeds and trimming back the jasmine. And the farmer was
Mm,
so grateful that we came out. We helped them out. We dug all these ditches for the
mm,
mango trees. We had blisters on our hands. We were like a bunch of like weak New Yorkers. Like we were bloody and like we wouldn't have lasted a full day on the farm. We all would have had like heat stroke and died if we would have done a full day of work. We did like 2 hours of work. And the gratitude and the humility, you could just see like these people were like, happiness wasn't like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like
mm,
this quick thing. If I get it or I don't get it, if it's too hot today, if it's not cool enough in my room, if the Wi-Fi
mm,
signal is not strong enough, if that was not happiness. Like they were
yeah,
grateful that people were coming and just helping, that they were so grateful. They wouldn't accept a donation. They said, we
yeah,
have already taken so much. We've already received so much. We cannot take anything more from you. We're
mm,
indebted to you. That
mm,
mood, the mood of a humble gardener, man, it's just like
yeah.
so
And
powerful.
these are poor people. These aren't people who have like a savings, it's not like, oh, I've got, like, these are people who could use a donation,
Right.
but they're
Totally.
turning it down. Is so some of the things Naushin wrote a comment. She was like, you're talking about 5 years ago, mango. She was like, oh, damn. And mangoes are so good. But it's like, we take it for granted, right? We just
Mm-hmm.
walk up to the store and I get a fresh mango and it's like, that's great. And I take for granted how much water, how long did it take for this to grow? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we see other people who are maybe harvesting their fruits of spirituality, it's like, oh, that took just like, it doesn't come so quick and so easy. So you shouldn't think that you're doing something wrong because it's taking you a while. It's just you're making a decision to pursue something valuable. You're
Mm-hmm.
making a decision to pursue something valuable, and it's just going to take time and effort. And it's so funny because you mentioned the blister, and I was thinking it before you mentioned it. I had the misfortune, I didn't go on that trip because I was teaching something over in an eco village. I was in the middle of teaching a training. So I stayed back at the eco village where you guys went out. But Gorvani was there also. And, he was telling the story and he said, we put the bliss in blister,
Totally.
which is like, when you redirect your purpose, you know
Mm.
what I mean? The challenges in life that would normally be so irritating take on a new meaning. And
Mm-hmm.
there's even becomes a joy in it, where it's like, before it's like, oh, I got this blister, it's like, oh, but I'm so grateful that I get to have this blister in the service of these other devotees, in the service of creating something so much, it's like so much better. Like, why would I focus and get so mad and pissed that I have this blister when
Mm.
actually I'm actually so fulfilled and happy to be doing the service? And Zoe, she mentions, that when that farmer said that, we all cried when he said that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't even notice the blister on my finger or I do, but that blister actually reminds me of something joyful, because it
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of the great work that we did, or that
Mm-hmm.
you guys did. I wasn't there that day. But in general, it's like, what are the blisters I incur along the way of tilling the soil of my heart? When we till the soil of our heart to plant the seed of devotion, you're going to get blisters.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get sore feet. You're going to
Yeah.
get, you're going to feel the heat of the sun. Like, it's going to come along the way. But that's just, those things can actually be signs of our dedication and devotion. And we can put the bliss in blister by, uh,
Mm-hmm.
by remembering what we're doing. We're planting mango trees.
Mm-hmm.
We're planting mango trees, and mango fruits are coming.
I love it. Jeffrey sharing, on Zoom, he's like, I offered and ate a mango for breakfast this morning. I feel so much more
Right?
grateful for it now, and yeah, wow. A mango tree takes 5 years to produce one mango, right? And even then, like what the farmer was saying is that, hey, we don't want to immediately start to harvest it. We want to really build it. We want to make it
Mm,
strong. We want to make the roots strong, because if we immediately start taking energy from it and letting it make
mm,
mangoes, even after that 5th year, I start taking it initially 3 years in, 4 years in. then I'm taking all the energy from the roots and taking the energy from it, strengthening. Let it strengthen, let it build, let it be strong. And so that when it does blossom, it blossoms again and again and again, the richest, most juicy mangoes. And just that beautiful gratitude, I appreciated Jeff so much. Just that, man, what we get on our plate, like the pace of life, of material life right now, like the ordering it on Amazon, which I do, which I'm not saying to not do these things. I'm not blaming, or there's no guilt or shame about anything.
It's just the culture. It's just the culture.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, like if I really want to experience like the bliss of a mango, I really want to experience like the sweetness and the nectar of it. If I'm part of growing a mango tree, if I'm part of being out in the heat and digging ditches and fertilizing it and watching that process, and then that mango comes, like, what a fulfilling process.
Yeah,
what a deeply
totally.
fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
And so that's that material consciousness that now I get it and I'm going to be happy. It's a trap, it's a trap that you could look at any person on the planet, the billionaires, the millionaires that have all the power, that have all the resources. If the objective is just to do, if the objective is just to control, is just to have what I want when I want it, we're going to see that's not a perpetual happiness. That's not a bliss. It's not a joy that person's carrying in their heart. You can see that, And so what we want to be gardeners, we want to be gardeners and tenders of the garden of our heart, of our soul.
Jeff says, of course, I got the mango at Target last week. We all do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. One last story. I know we got it because it's 9:30. It's totally relevant. A few years ago, this might have been 10 years ago, I used to live as a monk in the Bhakti Center in the ashram, and we used to take these retreats up to Vermont. The whole ashram would go. Sometimes there'd be 20 of us as monks to these retreats from Vermont. A friend of ours had a house up there, some land, and there was an apple tree. He had an apple tree. And I remember I climbed into the tree and picked apples and tossed them down into a wagon. And then he had this wooden crank, which looked like a medieval torture device, but it was like this crank where you literally just hand crank the apples and it churned out cider. And we churned out that cider and strained it. And then later that evening, we took that apple and we heated it up with some fresh spices and we made cider. And like it took the whole day. We could have just gone to the store and bought cider. But on that day, I realized it was like, what people like, what do you, if you go out in nature, like if you don't live in the city, like if you don't have Wi-Fi, what do you do all day? It's like, oh, you make your food, you clean your house, you know what I mean? All those things that they take time, but it becomes meaningful. Where it's like, now it's like, oh, well, food doesn't take time. I just go to the store and buy it. Laundry doesn't take time. I just put it in the machine and dry it. You know what I mean? Nothing takes time. I just instant. It's like, oh, but what if those things actually were the meaningful things of life? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, don't rob yourself of the process of getting towards happiness. Don't just search for happiness right away. Go through the process. And that process is meaningful. Just like, when we made cider that day, it was like, oh, I could have just bought cider, but it lost all its meaning. It would lose all its meaning. And so that, I think spirituality, we're looking for the solution, but we want to know it's like, what's the process? And how is that, we're gardeners at the end of the day. Anyways, it's time to go. It's 9:32. We can keep going. I love this. Let's be gardeners. Let's till the soil of our heart.
Let's be gardeners. Yes.
All right.
I'm going on the roof today. I'm spending a little bit of time. I'm pulling up some weeds. I'm pulling out the weeds in my heart because I know they're growing in there. And so grateful for you, Doyal. Being a fellow gardener on the path. All of you guys, I know it. I know in your hearts, and that you're tuning in because you're gardeners. And let's appreciate this process that we're in of harvesting those mangoes, of growing those mango trees.
Let's plant some flowers. Let's plant some mangoes. Moga's ready to take us all upstate and do a farm commune. She's got some followers already. Hit the garden, everybody. Thank you all so much. Kariana, Konstantina, Notion, our Zoomers, Julie, Jan, Jeff, Laura was here, AJ was here. Thank you, Zerlina. Thank you all so much. Remind yourselves of the harvest that's waiting for you, and we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Hari Hari. Jai Shri Ram. Jai
Shri Ram. Hari Bol. Thanks, guys. Tuning out.